Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday, May the 6th. I'm Liza Fromer. Thanks for being with us here on the morning show. Rob Cowley joins me now. He's the president of Consignor Canadian Fine Art. Good morning.
Good morning, Liza. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
You are having an open house this Friday
We are.
at your offices on Dundas, and people can bring in pieces of art and find out if they're worth anything.
That's exactly it. It's evaluation day, which means you can bring in the works of art which you own that you might be curious about. We're at 326 Dundas, right across from the AGO. We'll take a look at those and we'll give you a verbal assessment based on our training in terms of what the value might be of your work of art.
Okay, so we wanted to go through a few of these pieces,
Absolutely.
and you can just tell us why they're important, what we would be looking for now. These first couple, AJ Kaysen, one of the group of 7, so right
Absolutely.
away we know that you've got something very valuable.
We have a couple, actually, and all of the works here are in our May sale from the 21st to the 29th at consignor.ca. This is actually a canvas by AJ Kaysen. Now, we have almost a 10 commandments we use in terms of valuing art, and some of those can be as simple as the artist or the subject matter. Obviously, the artist, Kaysen, one of our best-known historical artists, a member of the group of 7 as well. A large work like this has a little more rarity. This work actually carries a value about $70,000 to $90,000 at auction.
Because he usually did a smaller canvas?
Well, the group of 7 produced smaller works of art, such as this work right here, Oils on Panel, and they're much more plentiful than the canvases, which tend to be more signature works by the group.
Okay.
And so the value difference, this work carries a value of $25,000 to $35,000 versus the higher value for a canvas.
Simply because of the size?
The size, and also the fact that there isn't the highest level of rarity with a work on panel, whereas a canvas, members of the group of 7 actually produce less canvases than they did panels, essentially.
All right. Gershon Iskowitz.
Gershon Iskowitz, right here. Beautiful work beside you here. Now, this is a work that has many factors working towards its value. It comes from a very important collection, Rothmans, Benson, and Hedges. They consigned several post-war Canadian works of art to our upcoming auction. The period as well, 1976, a very strong period for the artist. The painting carries an estimate of $40,000 to $60,000, and we feel it could absolutely exceed that when it comes up for auction on the 21st.
Now, this is a piece of art that a lot of people, contemporary art can be one of those things that's very contentious, where
True.
people say, like, well, why is this so important
Absolutely.
and such a high value when you feel like, but it's just some splotches?
Well, Iskowitz is interesting as well because actually his works are landscape. They're abstract landscapes, and in some ways as well, when you look at it, when you know that, he almost would produce landscapes looking down almost from a helicopter. So the clouds are around the outside, the whites, and then if you think almost like a fall landscape looking down at trees and leaves, then you can almost see it.
Okay, I wasn't loving it. Now it's won me
There you are.
over a
See?
little bit
That's
more.
That's what we do.
Jean-Paul Riopal?
Absolutely, right over here. Well, one of Canada's best-known artists. One of the reasons that his work also carries great value is the fact that he's one of the few Canadian artists that actually trades internationally as well, both in Europe and in the United States. This is a watercolor from 1946 by the artist. Carries an auction estimate between $18,000 and $22,000.
Now, if I was at a garage sale and somehow had that wonderful story of like stumbling upon something, how would I know that that was of great value if I didn't know who the artist was?
Well, it can be tough, but certainly through our training, I mean, again, we use almost 10 factors. I mean, with this work, you look at factors such as the period, the artist, certainly, Riopel versus an unknown artist, the condition of an artwork, the size of an artwork. All those factors come together and really the past history in terms of valuation for the artist, so how they're recognized.
W.J. Phillips?
Right here in the middle. Now, here's a good example. 2 works that are only a year apart, in fact. This one is actually 1945. This is 1946. Phillips was a printmaker from Western Canada. So there's about 200 or 300 of these works that exist that are identical, essentially. Carries a value for that reason of $500 to $700. Still very actively collected, but just a different value than a one-of-a-kind watercolor by Riopel.
That's a watercolor?
No, sorry,
That's
this is a print, and
that's
the watercolor is there.
Right.
Exactly.
But
Absolutely.
yet, this is so interesting.
Absolutely.
It has
Beautiful
such a different look. And then we have an unknown.
An unknown. And here's another example of how the artist plays a factor. This is a work of art that is believed to have been from the period of the group of 7, from the 1920s or 30s, very much in their style. We call it 20th century Canadian artist. Carries a value of $600 to $800, but if it was identified as a member of the group of 7, right away it would be $50,000, $20,000 to $30,000.
So that's interesting. So how would you ever authenticate that? Can that be done?
Certainly through our experience, we can certainly do that. Sometimes we also will also confer with outside authorities in certain artists as well, and we try to pull together as much research as possible to arrive at an answer.
So for this particular one that's unsigned, was that unusual that members of the Group of Seven wouldn't sign one of their works?
Not completely unusual. However, the members usually were quite good in terms of signing a lot of their work as well, because they're so well known. Most work is identified, the majority of it.
Right.
is.
Should you be able to, with your expertise, look at a brush stroke or something like that and figure
Absolutely.
it out?
Certainly, the connoisseurship is one of those factors for us. It's based on the experience that we have with many of these artists. That that gut feeling you'll have based on the 10 other factors to say, oh, that looks a bit like J.H. Macdonald or A.J. Cass, and then it leads us down that path.
What's your gut on that one?
It looks a bit like J.H. Macdonald, certainly, but unfortunately, we've gone through quite a bit of research, and it now is just 20th century Canadian artist.
Wow! So it's one of those things where you could buy it, and who knows down the line what might happen with that. So again, Friday.
This Friday, May the 9th, 326 Dundas across from the AGO. Our auction as well is the 21st to the 29th online at consignor.ca.
All right, very good. Rob Cowley, the president of Consignor Canadian Fine Art. Thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
Bringing all this beautiful work. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.